Welcome to Live with Ray and Terry. My name is Terry Coker. I am here with my friend and fellow franchise consultant, Ray Fanning. Say hi, Ray.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad you have a chance to join us today.
Yeah, we're really glad that you're here. We get together regularly. We visit with our franchise companies regularly, and we just returned from New Orleans, Louisiana, in the month of January, the year of 2026. And we had a pretty good time, didn't we, Ray?
We had a good time, and we got a time stamp on this now. So, January 2026.
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do today for you. We're going to recap all of the franchise companies that joined us at our winter conference in New Orleans. It's like a 5-day episode of Shark Tank. We're going to tell you about the state of the franchise industry, which is really, really healthy, the energy that we saw. We're going to tell you about the resources that we provide. We're going to talk about disruption. We're going to talk about specific franchises during the call today. And then we're going to give you some resources if you want to reach out and talk to us individually about your situation. So, Ray and I own franchise search firms. We are franchise consultants. Ray, tell everybody what a franchise consultant is and what a franchise consultant does for those people that have never heard of one and don't know what we do.
Yeah, more important today than ever, Terry, because there's a bunch of people who purport to do this, and not everybody does it the same way. So, the way Terry and I do it is a little bit different. We help people first build their strategy. Incredibly important. Understand their skills, understand their aptitudes, help them determine, after they tell us their goals, what can help them get there. Then we go forward. And as we go forward, we work with people to understand and build a strategy and take that strategy and find potential businesses that can be the conduit to get them to where they want to go. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We also provide them with a system, because identifying companies is great, but how do you evaluate them? How do you do a thorough step-by-step due diligence? And we know how, and we'll teach you how to do it.
And
So
we'll teach
it's
you how to do it.
um,
So, depending on whose numbers you listen to, there are about 4,000 franchises in the US marketplace. And that's a pretty daunting number. Ray and I are in a network, and we have about 200 franchises, give or take, in our network. And our network has built that list over the last 25 years. So when we meet you, we're not going to give you a list of 200 franchises and say, hey, Chris, hey, Tracy, tell us what looks good. Not what we do. What we want to do is start with a conversation that's all about you. And then, first step is we're going to build a strategy. You're going to participate with us in the building of that strategy. And then we're going to match you to companies that match your strategy, that help you achieve what it is you're trying to earn through business ownership. And then we're going to teach you an informed decision process. You want to talk a little bit about the informed decision process, Ray?
absolutely the informed decision process is a trust and verify process. It's a step-by-step process, 4 main steps, 32 sub-steps. The reality is it's designed to take you from large and then to winnow down through education so that you can understand the opportunity, understand the challenges, and see how it fits with your skills, your aptitudes, and is it going to allow you, is it going to be the roadmap that gets you from where you are today to where you want to be? So the informed decision process is our way of helping you go through a process to evaluate, understand, and do due diligence on your business ownership options.
And what does this cost, Ray?
Uh, it costs zero money. It costs time. The currency we have is time. It's not something that can be done for you, it's done with you. How much time does it cost? It depends on you and how good you are at doing the process. Most of my folks tell me that they start with about 5 hours in a week that they allocate to this, and then over time, sometimes they'll put in a little more, sometimes a little less time as they go through. But you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah, I've owned my franchise search firm now for 16 years, and in 16 years, I have never charged a single person for my services. So here's how that works. Our network has contracts with these companies we've mentioned, and they've agreed in advance in writing to pay your consulting fees if you investigate and eventually invest. And Ray and I aren't even parties to that contract, right? We have a secondary contract with our network that allows us to share in that revenue. So we're compensated like executive recruiters or commercial real estate brokers in the seller pays model. I had a gentleman say to me last week, Ray, he said, "So you're a headhunter for businesses." And his tone wasn't all that complimentary. And I laughed and I said, "You know what? If that works for you, that's exactly what I am. I prefer the title of franchise consultant, but what we're going to do is we're going to strategize with you, we're going to match you, and then we're going to educate you on due diligence." So that's what we do. That's how we do it. And we'd love to do it for you. You can engage with us any number of ways. You can make appointments with us on LinkedIn. You can make appointments with us through our resources. Ray, why don't we talk about our resources now?
Yep,
And
let's get to resources. We have a lot of different resources for
yeah,
folks, and that's what they're interested in. They want to know about the resources, and then what did we see? What's the latest and greatest? That's what everyone's been texting and messaging me about. Some of the resources we have available. We have we call it the Score app. It's a way for you as a person to take you ever like to take one of those assessments, like, am I ready to escape corporate? Am I ready for it? We have an assessment for that that's really cool. And you can take it. We can share it in the chat box here, and we think it'll be something that a lot of our folks, they want to know their score, and once they know their score, boy, they're excited about talking to us about their score. At least that's been my
share my
experience.
screen. You should be able to see it on the screen. Ray's going to put it in the chat box for you. And we were on a call like this. We were talking with a woman in Boston, and she expressed some concern about just where she was in making the decision, is business ownership right for me? Remember that conversation, Ray, with Karen?
I
And
remember it very well.
yeah, we said, Karen, just go to the app and take the app, right? Take the Score app, and determine, where you are along the path. You're going to get, 4 readiness assessments there. And she said, really, you think that'll help? And she did, and it helped her a lot.
She
Um,
did and it did. She did and it did, and it's very useful for you. It'll tell you, you may be more ready than you think, or less ready, and that's really important to know, whatever it is, and then you can base some decisions based on that. Terry, we also have the franchise roadmap, and that's a resource a lot of people love. It's videos, it's reference materials. I think it's just fantastic, right? And there it is on the screen. And it's some things I think you would really like to participate in. People who want to kind of move their way up and see the 4 different video series, short little vignettes, little videos talking a lot about the questions you have, because we got them from people like you. Those were the questions people have asked us continually over the last 25 years. We made 4 different video series. You can go right there. It's on the screen right now. It's on the chat. So it's
since
something that
nobody knows what we do, we just took it and put it on hireyourbestboss.com. So we demonstrate everything that we do. And we find that a lot of people will go watch a couple videos before they have a call with us because, they want to know they're getting into? Is this a thinly veiled sales call? Are these guys going to try and pressure me to buy a franchise? We hear this all the time, but when people watch our videos, they say, "Oh, goodness, now I understand what you guys do." Okay. So if you want to go watch some videos and then have a call with us, please feel free to do that. It's just a great resource. It's our learning community, and it's totally free, just like everything that we do in our service.
Great. Terry, we have one other resource I want to share today, but before we do it, I wanted to just say one of the things I hear most commonly after I've worked with somebody is they bring back our first conversation. And they were always waiting for they say they were waiting for the shoe to drop. Like, when did the hammer fall? What was it gonna cost? Or when was I gonna sell, or you're gonna sell? And it didn't happen. And they say later they understood it wasn't going to happen. It's learning. We're here. People call us consultants. They call us placement experts. I feel like we're educators. We have a system, a process to go through, and it always makes me laugh at the end when they're like, "Well, you didn't ask for a sale," and I was like, "Don't have anything to sell." Um,
Don't
all
have
right,
anything to
last
say.
nothing to sell. Not now, not in the future. All right, last resource we want to share is the assessment that Terry and I utilize when we are building with you your strategy. And I just placed the link into the chat. This Zoracle assessment, powered by Zoracle, to hire your best boss. If you complete this, you will get 7 to 10 pages of results. I see some of the people here who have done this before, so they know what it's about, and they've done it themselves. Great. It gets sent back to you. It talks about your skills, which you probably already know. It talks about your aptitude. Those are skills or that you have that maybe you haven't fully developed. And it talks about characteristics of a great business opportunity for you, which is important when you're evaluating options.
Talks about your work style. It talks about your cultural fit. It talks about your sales and marketing skills in the franchise industry. Our friend Rebecca Monet designed this. She lives in this assessment world. She took 7 of the best assessments out there and combined those and tailored it to the franchise industry. Ray, is there any cost for the business builder profile?
Not to our folks.
No, we buy these.
Not to our folks. So no. I mean, does it cost if you want to go and not go through us? Yes, it'll cost you. So go through us.
Yeah, go through those. And if you want to work with Ray and you don't want to work with me, use this address and put Ray Fanning instead of Terry Coker. If you just like Ray on the videos better, then work with Ray, right? If you want to work with me, work with me. We use the same process. We're in the same network. We have been trained by the same people. And we pretty much do it the same way. Hey, Ray, there's one more resource. Could I throw that resource up now and then let's
I,
talk companies?
absolutely.
It's our YouTube channel. We're kind of proud of this because there's a lot of content here. But what's really new are a couple case studies that we've just added in the last few days. These are folks that have worked with us, Tyler and Gina. They tell about their experience and what it was like and the steps involved in the process and what their perception was when they started and when they finished. You'll meet Brent and Leslie Hadley. And interestingly enough, Leslie didn't want Brent to get on the phone with either one of us. Right? She said, Brent, come on, this is a scam, right? Nobody does anything for free. What are you doing, right? This is too good to be all of those things, right? If your spouse, if you're on the call today and you have a skeptical spouse, welcome to the club. That's almost everybody that we meet. You're going to meet Chuck Holmes, whose wife Michelle said, Chuck, come on, what are you doing? Right? And so you can go watch these, hear it from them in their words. And that's a pretty valuable experience. You can watch, one, two, three, or more. There are more of those before you get on a call with us. So we have a lot of resources for you to be able to learn about us before you get on what is not a sales call.
Excellent.
Hey, Ray, did you have fun in New Orleans?
I did until Friday night. Yes, no, I had a great time, and it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of learning. Great companies, many coaches who we work with, who some of you who work with us will also work with. We bring in the best and brightest to help all our folks.
We had about 400 people from the franchise industry in a beautiful hotel, and breakfast, lunch, dinner, and breakout sessions with all of them. And then the hallways are just packed. And so we got to renew relationships that we've had, oh, for many, many years. And we got to make new relationships with new franchise companies. And we got, to learn we do this every 6 months, right? We're going in July to a Florida property. And last year we were in Houston in January, got out of there just before the snowstorm hit. Yeah, snowstorm in Houston. What would you say the overall feeling is about the year 2025 and the upcoming year of the 2026 season for franchising? How would you describe that?
Um, Opportunity. I would call it's very opportunistic right now. There's a lot of really talented people becoming franchisees right now. Some of them because they've been planning and waiting for it for a long time, and some because they're forced there. I mean, every day, this morning I saw Amazon, another 14,000. Every day there's layoffs going on, and some people, they're getting forced to look at options and they're finding this is the best option for them. But it's opportunity because there's more and more talent coming in. There's more and more people who are taking ownership of their own life and they understand that there's not the cradle to grave jobs anymore. So, in a word, opportunity. What about you, Tara? Blast off.
Opportunity. Yeah, light this candle.
Like this kid.
Absolutely. That was the theme because our founder, Jeff Elgin, climbed on top of a rocket. I think one of the rockets owned by one of the billionaires out there and went off into space. It was absolutely fascinating to watch that live when it happened and then to rewatch the film. There was just so much optimism about the economy and so much optimism about franchising in general and the systems and companies that we work with that had tremendous growth in 2025. I would just say, opportunistic and optimistic, was everywhere that we went. I came away, understanding that, some really, really strong categories out there are getting stronger. Ray, a lot of people don't know that there's a B2B white collar business coaching category, right?
Yep.
Everybody's reference to franchising that we talk to is usually fast food, right? Because that's what we've grown up with. And it is the 800-pound gorilla of the franchise industry. But when I tell people that there are white collar business to business franchises, people stop and say, what?
Yeah.
The strength of that category really, really impressed me. The franchisors in that category, the senior care category, it's been a congested category for a long time because we all know that stat: 10,000 people are turning 65 every day, hypothetically for the rest of our lives, right? It just seems like it goes forever. But there are franchisors within that category that have solved some of those senior care problems. And I
Absolutely.
was really, really impressed by some of their solutions to that. I was impressed by the beauty category, right? Some really, really strong new disruptive opportunities have come in to that beauty category. And I know you came away buzzing with one category that I want you to tell everybody about now.
Well, we'll do. A couple other quick categories I wanted people before we get into the unicorn, because I think it's a unicorn. Um, the home service category continues
Mm.
to grow. Um,
Continues to go.
Dirty businesses continue to grow. There's even businesses for people that want to start a business with their adult children. I've seen businesses that I'm like, looks like a lot of work, and it looks good. It's one of those if you've got a adult child that you want to partner with and they're willing to put in a little elbow grease into the deal, there's some businesses you can grow in fields you would never imagine. Health and wellness continues to exponentially grow. Just incredible. So the unicorn. Let's talk about a unicorn.
Before we go there, you talked about one of my favorite subjects, so I'm going to touch on it. I love dirty businesses, right? If Mike Rowe is on television, if I'm surfing through the channels and I see Mike Rowe, I stop. Okay. And we have some of the dirtiest businesses in America, right? I mean, we've got some ones that are just going to pop your eyes open. But if you know anything about Mike Rowe, you know that he's made his entire living in that. So I had a gentleman say to me this recently in fourth quarter of 2025. He said, "I love dirty businesses. Do you have any?" I said, "Oh my goodness, we have hit a home run on it because this is one of my favorites." So thanks for bringing that out. If anybody on the call today, wants to shoot us a message, we've got some dirty businesses for you.
Absolutely. And I see we have a question there, and we're going to get to the question. And please put more questions in the chat. We will get to that question right at the end. So the unicorn. This is one of the few times, Terry, you and I ever talk about names of companies. Mm-hmm. We just don't typically do it. Because we're so much into systems, and systems are about finding the strategy, the characteristics, getting beyond the glitz and getting to the underpinnings of the business, the car, if we're using the car analogy. But this is one of the time of the year that we're going to talk a little bit about the name first and some of the characteristics. I want to tell people when we talk unicorns, if we talk emerging, which sometimes we do, that does not mean it's for you. There's positives and negatives on any type of business, and there's certainly positive and negatives about being in an early adopter. Some of my people who own several businesses, that's all they want to look at, and that's fine. Some people, it's not the right time. It's inherently different risk profile because it's new. So
is there an advantage to an emerging franchise, Ray?
I'm sorry?
Is there an advantage to an emerging franchise?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the gold rush, or when you were trying to get land. First to market means you're the first to get the land. You're the first one out there. Okay. If I live in Denver and I get Denver for the whole territory, you're not getting Denver if you're in the Denver territory. So there are some advantages, but it has to be evaluated, which is what the due diligence process is all about. But no one wants to hear about that right now. They want to hear about the cool thing. So let's talk about the unicorn.
It's really cool.
Terry, do you know who Gary Brecka is?
I do know Gary Brecka. He is maybe the father of longevity. I don't want to give him a title that he hasn't given himself, but in coming back from the conference, I've talked to a lot of people, and I haven't talked to anyone yet who doesn't know the name Gary Brecka.
All right. Gary Brecka is involved in this unicorn business coming up. Who else is involved in this unicorn business?
I do. You want me to throw the name out, or do you want?
You can throw it out.
Tony Robbins.
Right? Tony Robbins with his leading longevity medicine platform.
In the Personal Development Hall of Fame, next to Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy, is Tony Robbins, fully behind this new franchise opportunity with Gary Brecka.
Gary Brecka and Anthony from Sequel Brands, Anthony Geisler, who has had a very successful career building franchise concepts.
You cannot be in the franchise industry and not know Anthony Geisler. Right?
So it's a pretty unique founding group, and they're all interested health, wellness. Gary with his Ultimate Human, Tony Robbins with his Life Force, Anthony with his platforms for fitness and wellness concepts. They've come together with a business. It's called Ultimate Longevity Center, and it's a unicorn. It's groundbreaking. It's the next generation, really, of health and longevity platform. just coming to market, so it is emerging, right? It is emerging, but it's an evolution in proactive health and human performance. Not just lifespan, but well span. We hear some of these key words. The idea is to have science and personalized health intelligence, if you will, premium experiential type services, the kind of stuff that only really wealthy people have been able to enjoy up until now. They're trying to bring it to the masses, right? So science first, proactive, clinical and experiential kind of integration. It's really really interesting. So they have the leadership. They have an incredible growing segment of the business world, the health and wellness, and it really will take you and do so many things that people have been interested in. Like there's franchise businesses that do part of these things. They do the hyperbaric chambers. They'll do the light therapy. But all the way to the different massages, to the shots, to the really individualized kind of health and wellness so that you can live longer, better.
The
It's
things that have only been available to billionaires
right.
over the last 20 years are now going to be available for the masses. And I guess if you're a billionaire, right? And you own businesses and you have boats, big boats is not the right term. I think yacht, that you can land a helicopter on, right? You have that image in mind. Robin Leach's Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous years ago, right? Billionaires have had access to all of these modalities. And Gary and Tony and Anthony have now put these modalities under one roof so that we can all live longer. Because, once you've got your life where you want it to be, and the people around you that you love, you just want to do that longer. And so when you look at Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, all the big names, they say this is going to be $1 trillion category, Ray, $1 trillion category.
With a capital T. So with all these modalities, the red light therapy, the oxygen, the cold exposure, the shots, I mean, each one could be an individual franchise. And in many cases, it is an individual franchise or
Mhm.
individual business in and of itself. But on top of that, the market opportunity. This is a repeatable and scalable business model. Strong consumer engagement, predicted high retention, because once you start, you don't tend to stop. Long-term relevance because of the longevity and performance, multiple revenue streams, even selling product that people want. I mean, there's a lot in
Manager
there.
run,
Excuse
manager run,
me.
multi-unit development. These are all, you're not going to be working behind the counter showing somebody to their light bed for
Right.
their, particular session, right? You're going to be, working with your managers, and building multi-unit, rather large businesses.
Yep. All in 2,000 or less square feet and probably near stores that you realize. Like if you know where Starbucks is, you probably aren't going to be too far away.
Yeah, and the strength of that health and wellness category as we left New Orleans and started to look at that, was really dynamic. That's been a growing category. I'd say strongly for the last 3 years, probably more for started about 5 years ago to really get traction in the marketplace. But, there are now a lot of opportunities in that marketplace. So if you want to talk to us about health and wellness, if you want to learn more about, what we call the unicorn, the Ultimate Longevity Center, reach out to us, schedule an appointment with us one-on-one. We'll answer your questions and, maybe we'll engage and design a strategy for you. Hey, Ray, I have a question.
Have an answer.
Do you stretch?
Absolutely. Every day.
I stretch every day. It's just part of what I do to keep my body healthy. Do you remember the pandemic?
I do.
Do you remember what people said after COVID about the fitness industry?
That it was dead and never going to be coming back again.
Dead. America would not have a fitness industry after COVID. It was over. Fitness was a fad. I mean, we heard during that period of 2020, June 2020 till certainly the end, December, and then into 21, all we heard about was how the fitness industry was dead.
Yep.
What do you remember the first stretching franchise that we had in the
I
industry?
I remember it well, and I believe I've placed a couple of their top performers.
Yeah, and that stretching franchise grew and grew and grew. And then there were other stretching franchises. And
Mm-hmm.
so stretching is not a fad. It turns out to be core for an older population. It turns out to be a core for athletes. It
Yep.
turns out to be a core for general wellness. It turns out to be a really essential business. And so, do you have some favorites in that exercise and fitness category?
I like the stretching. I like some of the quick Pilates that are adjacent
Pilates,
businesses.
that was a fad, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100 and something. Dr. Joseph Pilates, 100 and something years ago. It's one of those fads, probably right up there with yoga.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Well, I think yoga predates him by a few thousand years.
that is correct. That is
Yeah.
correct. No, there's some definite modalities in the wellness and fitness areas. Which one has your attention, Tara?
The disruptor, the disruptor in that category. Ray, what if a van could pull in your driveway and your personal trainer brought in the stretch bands and the weights and everything that you needed to do a personal workout. And right there in your workout room, with your sweatshirt and your socks, your trainer put you through a workout and then took the equipment back to the van and drove away.
Kind of like a gym in a van at your house
Called the Gym Guys.
with
Okay.
with an amazing founder too. What a
With an
great guy.
amazing founder, right? Not a new franchise, but certainly one that's growing. You don't have to, as a business owner, a franchisee, you don't have to buy or lease a space. You can. There are great models out there for that, but this one brings it to your driveway.
That's for the people who don't want to go to the gyms and
For
or
the
don't
people
have
who
the
don't want to go to
time.
the gyms,
Don't have the time. Need the individual.
don't
Um,
like that socialization component that other people thrive on. So I just want to get my workout in and, not do that commute time. Ray, what if that van could pull in the driveway and stretch you?
that'd be great.
I would love that.
Some
Right?
assisted stretching would be awesome.
Doorbell rings, my dogs run to the door, my personal stretcher comes in, coming later this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that going to disrupt the workout industry
It's
already? Is that going to disrupt the stretching fad? It's not a fad, right? It's a mainstream of American fitness.
Yeah, it's gonna disrupt it. What's interesting though is that a lot of people hear those types of businesses, Terry, and they think they have to be a personal trainer or they have to be an assisted, licensed assisted stretch person. And the answer is no. You
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 need to
what
be a business person.
you need to be a business person and you need to be able to make the trains run on time. You need to be able to hire and have people trained effectively. Um,
Leadership,
leadership. I mean,
marketing.
we'd be able to see this as we work through a strategy. But the idea that you have to be that person, it's no different than do you have to know how to always make the fries and every bit? No, you don't.
You know,
Um, you it's a very interesting business, good founder, and the part of the story you alluded to, which I really like, it's not brand new. Um, this company has taken their time to make it really a great business for the franchisees. They've taken the time to work with their franchisees and continually strengthen their systems and model. They're ready for takeoff, and it does seem like they're going to disrupt the industry as well.
yeah, I think that they are. Alloy Personal Fitness, uh,
Mm, another one.
in the exercise and fitness, small group workouts, right? 5 or 6 people. very limited membership, small space, but the upper end of that demographic, 45 plus, 55 plus, really, really a special model there. Like that, iFlex,
iFlex,
Set Pilates. Yeah,
Pilates addiction. There's so many different niches in here, right? And
absolutely.
and the different aspects of where they go, so that it can fit you as an owner, just like these businesses are fitting the consumer and their wants for products or services. So very, very, very interesting. These
As
different models.
2025 went along, I kept getting a repetitive question from almost everybody that I talked to. People would say to me, "How much time does it take? How much time does it take, to really build a business? Can I keep my job and start a franchise, or do I have to leave my job and jump off a cliff and go without income and all of that?" And the answer is no. We have funding strategies to help you cross that chasm. We have four funding companies that we've worked with over the years. We can introduce you to them. They work like we do. Okay, they will help you find the right money as we help you find the right franchise. But what's the answer you tell people, Ray? What's a realistic amount of time for you to build a manager run business?
Right. Well, there's different management models, and we've always talked about whether you're the working president, which is the owner operator, whether you're more of an investor with managers or general managers, or I think the one you're talking about that we probably hear a lot about is an executive manage the manager type business. So the time, how much time does it take? I tell people the same thing. It depends on roughly three things. It depends on you, your skills. How good are you at managing? Second, how good is the system that you are partnering with if you get into a system? And third, you have to get the right manager. All these things will have to do with time. So there may be people who go into it and they'll tell you that they're doing 20 hours a week on top of their job. Maybe it's flexible, but they're doing 20. You might hear somebody who say they're doing 10 hours a week. And I'm always like, wow, that's kind of shocking. And you always follow up the question, is that from when you started? What is that after you've gotten it up and running? Like there's a lot of, you really need to dig into this. But I will say this, I get a lot of people saying I want an absentee business. And I stop them because I'm like, listen, these businesses are going to be full-time. They're full-time businesses. You're talking about your involvement, which may be different, like how much time you spend, but it's still a full-time business. And you have to run the business. You have to have enough time to run the business. Does that mean 20 hours a week? Does that mean 10 hours a week? I think you have to dig in. I think you have to find out how long it's going to take you. And if you can't get a clear sign, I had a person actually, their videos on the website that you just said, Grant and Mary, and they went through this exact thing looking at businesses. And one of the things they had was they had a hard stop. They could do 20 hours, up to 20 hours a week. They couldn't do more. And when they did their homework, they loved this company. This was the company they were going to do. When they're doing their validation, the trend that came back was it was 20 to 25 hours for the first 4-6 months. And I reminded them that's above what they had said. And they passed on that opportunity because they didn't have 25. And if it was going to take 25 potentially in the beginning, they couldn't do it. So you have to look at the time that it actually takes you. If you ask me, I'd say you better be ready to do 15 to 20 hours at least in the beginning.
Perfect example of our informed decision process.
Yeah.
Grant and Mary, they were informed investors. Okay, that's what we strive for. And I would add one more component, the simplicity of the business model, right? You pick a complex franchise, it's going to take more time. It sounds so simple, but people want to say, well, not for me. Yes, for you. Okay. But if you find a simple business model, I just came away from New Orleans with one business model that I said,
I
holy,
know the one.
you know the one,
I think
right?
I do.
It's the one where the customer does all the work, Ray. It's the ultimate customer experience for the franchisee. So imagine this, right? It's a retail storefront business, small footprint, maybe 1,500 square feet. The front door opens, the chime goes off, the customer comes in, they go look at all the products, they pick a cup, they fill their cup with the product, they move over to the assembly line and they put their toppings on the product, and then they go up to the counter and they put their product on the scale and they pull their MasterCard or Visa out and they tap it and they carry their product out the front door. The customer does all the work. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm talking about Menchie's,
Welcome to
frozen
Menchie's.
yogurt. Welcome to Menchie's. And people go, frozen yogurt. No, that category died. That category did not die. That category consolidated.
Yeah,
Okay. This is a simple business model. You can keep a job. You're going to need 25 hours a week to run the business, but it can be done because they have 300 Menchies open coast to coast. You want to talk about a simple business model and how you would fit into one, two, three, 20, 30, 40 Menchies. Love to have that conversation with you. The ultimate customer experience. And who doesn't like Froyo, Ray? I mean,
I know the kids do very much, and the parents get to take the kids and pretend it's just for the kids. Um, it's also flexible, and I think that part of what people, when they're asking how much time, is how flexible it is. You know, are you counting the time when you're driving to work and you're having a call with your manager? You know, are you counting the time when you stop by on a Thursday, you know, on the way home from work to kind of check on things? It depends on many factors. And the reality is we don't sell you. So we're going to teach you how to find out for you how long it's going to take you. And it doesn't matter how long it takes everyone else. It matters how long it takes you.
that's right. So let's wrap up. Okay.
Let's
We
wrap.
appreciate everybody that's been here today. We thank you so much. We would like to encourage you to reach out to us and get your specific questions answered. You can go to hireyourbestboss.com, right? You can chat with Kimmy. She is our artificial intelligence chatbot. She will answer questions for you at 1 in the morning when we won't. She will help you book an appointment with us, right? You can go to our SCORE app, okay, and take the readiness assessment. That is free, okay, and determine where are you along that line. You can go to our YouTube channel, okay, youtube.com at hire your best boss /videos. You know, watch Brent and Leslie, watch Tyler and Gina, listen to Chuck Holmes and listen to him talk about Michelle, who didn't want him to get on a call with us. Or you can jump right into the first step of the strategy process and order up a Zoracle for yourself. Okay. So
Absolutely. We have one last thing. There was a question they've waited patiently. Typically, how long does it take to set up your own franchise? You want to do it first here, and I'll bring it. I'll bring it home.
typically, it depends on the operating model. It depends on whether it's service. It depends on whether it's home-based small office or brick and mortar. Brick and mortar obviously takes longer. Okay.
Yep.
So each management model has its own opening timeline.
Right. It's funny, Terry, the way you answered it, because I scribbled when I first saw it. My first answer is depends, but you need more than depends. It typically takes. I'm going to break it down a little bit. It typically takes 2 to 3 months to go through the process to identify and evaluate until you get to a decision point. Now, that's the standard deviation. That's 95% of people, but that's the standard deviation. People have done it faster. I had one gentleman take 17 and a half years, so it can take longer. 95% of the time, it's a true story. We'll talk about it. But 95% of the time, it's going to take you between 2 and 3 months. The rest of the answer is then how long does it take to open? If that's what you meant, it totally depends on the type of business. If it's a consulting business, it's all dependent on how quickly you can get trained. That could be another month afterwards as quickly. If it's a fast food, it might be 18 months. So it depends on the business that you would have selected. So that would be my answer to that question. Thank you very much for waiting for the answer. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and Ray and I say thank you to everybody that joined us today. We say thank you to everybody that's going to watch us on replay. And thank you to everybody that we've worked with. And thank you to our team. We don't do this by ourselves. We have quite a team that helps us with that. And we don't shout out to our team very much. So shout out to our team, okay, that helps us produce hireyourbestboss.com.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.